encourage you, Nhlanhla, I would encourage you, Jazzman, Mike, let's have this meeting.
Do you have a buy-in in that?
Absolutely, Mike? But I honestly believe what I think is important as well is that there is a regulation which obliges each and every single professional footballer to be part of the union.
Yeah.
Because once you've got that in place, then there's no further excuse from the union as to what it can deliver for the collective.
Yeah.
Because there's certain things that the union should be doing that honestly, that individual agents aren't going to do.
Yeah.
Once that's regulated, then the roles and responsibilities can be ironed out, not only with agents and the union, but also with all the stakeholders.
Yeah, I think somewhere, somehow, but at least we can limit certain things.
Correct.
As long as the conversations can take place, we have a dialogue around these issues because they want what's best for the players just as much as we do.
100%.
But coming to the dichotomy that I was talking about, Robert, the division that comes from that is because you have a subscription paying member. You've got a member that belongs to an agent who was told not to join. The agent cannot challenge Robert Marawa FC. Now, he sends him to say, go to the union, let them handle your case. But this is the very same person who's been withholding this player. Now, it's unfair because you did not contribute to the growth and success of this organization, but you expect it to serve your interest when you have problems, and the agent is running backwards. We've seen where teams don't pay a salary of a player who got injured in training and they say it's not at the place of work. I can't believe the amount of stupidity that came with that in the years when I saw that.
Yeah.
But you'd find that these players and this agent is afraid to take the fight.
Yes, sir.
We have players that were released at Sundowns and some at Pirates. And those players had options on their contracts, negotiated by agents. But the issue of the extension or the activation date of the option was very silent, to a point where a player was told on the very last day of June that we are not keeping you. Now, the disadvantage again, FIFA has opened the regulations in saying when you are left with 6 months, you can sign a pre-contract and join. Look at what happened with Sitebe at Amazulu. We're not happy with some of the work that is done by agents because they leave these players to be found wanting. There's been a mass exodus of release of senior players. I feel it's an attack on senior players within the game to try and maybe limit the salary cap, which is what was introduced by Lunga Sokela, which is the stupidest idea that I've ever heard, which he was moving and canvassing. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
What was the minimum cap? Just to recap on that one.
We have not reached the minimum cap, bro.
Yeah.
Simply because we were moving towards this 2019 CBA. It's one of the things that we must deal with. Remember, we had COVID.
What was Lunga advocating for?
He wanted the salary cap. He did not even say much. He said probably 80 or 90, if I'm not mistaken, not to outquote him.
Yeah.
But what kind of an idea is that? Footballers are special people. This is a special game. We have a special talent. That is why we need people that look after us to pay attention to detail.
Yeah.
Life is not forgiving to a football. How do we make sure that they are financially astute when they retire from football? They lose assets. It's a discussion at pubs, at taverns. We are a laughing stock. We are called, what do you call this term? Uneducated or illiterates and all of that. That's not true.
You know, bro, I'm so happy with the way Shaba is unpacking this thing, Union are the only ones who have challenged clubs, and they've taken the clubs to case. I've never heard it from the agents.
Well, let's help you, Warra. It's important.
But let me finish. I've never heard from the agents where the agent takes the interest of the player up to that level of taking it to case.
Yeah.
Never. Yeah. But the union, they have done it with a couple of players. I can count 3.
Sure.
They have done it. Now, they are doing a good job. But I've never had an agent taking over the interest of the player, taking it to that...
all the way to the top.
All the way to the top.
It's
fighting for that.
Also, it's important because we might also, lead people into the direction that is not really honest. I'll give an example of my own player. In my own stable, I had a player who was moved from Royal AM to Maritzburg. So naturally, whoever took my player from that time to Maritzburg was left with 6 months. So in that 6 months, which means then the fact that they never say give us a letter. Let me say this:
was it an option or
no? There was a contract going, but the contract was ending within 6 months. There's an option for the following year.
Right.
Now, if they don't send us a letter, automatically the contract continues. Now, on the last day of the season, they say, no, we are releasing player X. I said, but you can't. The player has to stay. We have not been informed. We are not aware. Yeah, we are not aware of and I'm telling you about the player was already in the public space. Right. So he's back with the club. And that is another conversation that I'm going to go into the platform and say, guys, I've just won a case and I've just, that's my job. That's what I do. So that's what I'm supposed to be doing. But then in a situation where Shaba meets agents that are not aware and that are not even having a knowledge to how to deal with these issues, not even knowing the statutes of FIFA. They don't even understand what it means. So that's the kind of the mess they're dealing with because of those kind of situations. And that's why those agents will send their players to union. I would never have a situation.
Which player was that?
Lucky Baloy.
Lucky Baloy.
Yes.
Yeah, we deal with names.
That's fine.
Sure. Yeah,
I mean, I'm just giving you comfort because it's important that it has to be that way. So that and Mike probably will give you 20 of them.
Sure.
You know, so it's neither here or there. The point is, if Nhlanhla's presentation is more about what they do over and above, they may be doing so many of those cases because everybody else ran away from those players. I mean, I can go back and say the players that I managed on my first books in 98, they're still with me. They're now the legends. Yeah. They're now doing corporate gigs because they don't have an income as solid as it was. Because I knew this day is going to come.
So, and I know that we've unpacked a lot. Mm-hmm. Maybe let me throw something in very quickly within the PSL. Which team is the worst in terms of paying salaries?
I think agents can answer that.
I think that's a very good question.
We only see contracts when there's a dispute. We don't. I think our cabinet is too small to have 1,300 contracts there.
I mean, if you look at
agents, they can respond to that because
if you look at your position with Rob, it's directly in a question to you, and it's very important. Position. Yeah, that's a position.
I'm just looking for an answer.
But yes, I think that is well. No, but Preston, I think the question is, when I say well placed, I don't mean that I'm putting him under spot. Right. Because remember that we deal with different clubs, different salaries, different players. Let's say, for example, if I throw any club in the PSL as the worst, but you may find that in the same team, my players are getting better salaries. So I can't say then it's worst, because then it's not talking to the club, it's talking to individual players. But when he says to Shaba, who's the worst, they know they'll be dealing with those people every day.
I don't know who's the worst at the PSL, but I know that I think I can give an average at PSL as we've seen in terms of what we receive. But we access contracts when there's a dispute, honestly. So
you don't have copies of our contracts?
No, we can't. The whole 1,250,
have them.
they do.
Of the members? Of your members.
So we don't have contracts of our members. There is when we recruit, when we teach them, they must take them.
But is there a club that's paying players 5,000 rand?
Not recently. It used to be that issue that we dealt with where we are Prosvuma at that time. But at this point in time in the PSL, I think average is something around 25,000 rands, at least 20, 25, depending. We know now that there's MTC, there are those contracts which deals with that. It's slightly lower, but when we talk average, it's around 25. But
within the first division, there's a club that pays 5,000
First division, it's still a bit difficult to trace because... That's why regulation is important. We're sitting now and talking. There's a player who's in the Mutsepe who's being engaged by a team in the NFD who's signing a contract at 3,000. For him, he wants to play, he's happy, he's getting an opportunity. It has to end. It's the issue of regulation. I know you are impatient. We are as well. CBA 2019.
Who's managing the player?
These discussions must really take place at an accelerated pace. We're dealing with one agenda item point. Obviously, we'll agree to disagree. Some things will win, some will not. That's
Rob, is it not better maybe that whole question you asked earlier on? Shouldn't they then start referring players to us?
For
because they've got problems.
What problems do we have? You sign the contracts with these players. We get shocked when we offer with Marawa
not to get 3,000. I mean, if it's going to play... Say, listen, boy, go see Mr. Mahlakgane. This contract is too long.
No, but we can also be negotiators of these contracts. So
you guys are... no, this is going to be human trafficking. Let's leave that. Hello. Prostan, let me hand over to you, Babu.
No, thank you very much. This was a raw deliberation. Raw. Brutal.
Yeah, we need a second round.
Nhlanhla,
Yeah.
Keep it up. Don't ungalame ace because ngesitsotsi kuthiwa ulame ace ushuthi lento le uyayeka. Raw as is. Take it up, Bob. And of course,
Thank you, Pastor.
Jazzman, I know he tata over. He has an interest of his players. He wants to know what are you doing with the money? What?
I want to know your parents.
He want to know your parents. Where do you
your
stay?
grandmother.
What? Keep it up. Same with Mike. I mean, Mike is the first agent that I know of. The first agent. So I know that Nomvete has so much spoke highly about him to say he has never, Mike was like a father to him.
Yes.
He says,
Yeah.
because I know I went to knock at his door to recruit him for Kaiser Chiefs. Yeah, so that's why I know of Mike. Hey, lo Mike, ubani lo Mike.
Was it a good deal, though?
Yeah.
Was it a good deal?
Yeah, well, it was a good deal. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
We really
Thanks for the
appreciate
invite.
it.
It's been an
Yeah.
absolute
Highly
privilege.
appreciate
It has
it.
been
Thank you very much.
absolute.
We'll continue to sip in the knowledge of Sir Stan.
Absolutely. Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers.
guys.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
That's all.
Cheers, Mara.
That's all.
Cheers. Cheers, bro Stan.
Yes, Mike.
kusho ukuthi kahle kahle kwenzeka bengisendele spray Sundowns uBansi baphela phone atendon lo konko nomshishi kufuna baye kupirate athi uBansi no akakwazi uke waba nemillion wena ndoda imillion angiyazi ndoda imillion ekhaya 500,000 sebayimane bangihenge kodwa imali yona ngiphela
Ngiloko ngibheka ingwele mayikhuluma. Lo muntu wathola 1.2 million kunale yami ekumele angilungisele yona.